being a YouTuber is I get to decide when I want to do updates and have my own little news channel over here. I'm not locked into any specific time. I'm not locked into any specific anything. Basically, I can do whatever I want. I've been getting a lot of people emailing me and private messaging me interested in cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency trading. Before I get to cryptocurrency, I just wanted to say two or three things really quick about what's happening with Apple. Now, first of all, as you know, they said Apple faces lawsuits after saying it slows down aging iPhones. Now, the reason that they gave for this is they said that if they demand that the battery continue to put out peak power after the battery has gotten older, that it could damage the internal electronics. I do agree with that because anybody who has a laptop already knows that if you unplug that laptop is going to step down its power. And you also know that, like, the backlighting for the screen goes out and all that, and it goes basically into low power mode. When it does that, the processor doesn't work as fast. I really don't have a problem with the fact that Apple was doing that. I had always suspected that as time went on and as they kept releasing more and more updates with more and more features, I expected the old processors to slow down. So these people are basically going to put together a class action lawsuit against Apple, and they're saying, oh yeah, well, we should be able to sue because they slowed down phones and it forced us to buy a new phone. No, jackasses. Nobody forced you to buy a new phone. If you wanted a new fucking phone, you could have gone and bought one of them piece of shit Galaxies or one of those shitty ass BLU phones or one of those crappy ass HTC whatevers. Nobody forced you to buy anything. You lined up, you pulled out your wallet, you bought a phone. Nobody forced you to buy shit. So I don't even want to hear that because that's a bullshit argument. So they're going to put together some kind of class action lawsuit, and I'm not sure if Apple's going to be able to stay out of court. If they do go to court, most likely they are going to lose. Now, there will be, some kind of slap on the wrist settlement. But the thing about it is you're talking about multiple millions of people who are going to be in a class action lawsuit. So I think Apple's within their best interest to figure out some legal loophole to make sure that that shit stays out of court, or that whatever happens, it comes out in their favor. Now, I do believe that there's a user in license agreement that says that, me using this phone, I'm not allowed to reverse engineer it, and I'm not allowed to use it in ways that they say I can't use it. And ultimately, the software is still their property and this, that, and other. So listen, me personally, I'm very happy with my iPhones. I'm very happy with my iPhone X. And I kind of think that it would suck, for a bunch of people who are using old phones and never upgraded to start some shit just because they're upset that their 4 or 5 year old iPhone 5S doesn't work as fast as my iPhone X. So whatever. But Apple's stock price is, according to one of these, what is it? According to one of these uh, fake news actually, they said Apple's stock price has slid. Now, basically, they only went down like $4. They said their stock slid today. Look at this, 170.65 down from like $174 or 175, however you want to hit it. So they said the stock slid. I don't really consider $4 a slide. But, that just lets you know, and that's what I was leading up to when I get to talking about Bitcoin real quick. It just lets you know that there's so much of this fake news and so many of these startup, pop-up fucking journalists who don't know shit except for copy-pasting other people's information. It bothers me because the problem is if you didn't know any better, you would think that Apple was having problems, and you might even be coerced into selling your Apple stock because it slid $4. Now, meanwhile, we're watching our cryptocurrency gain and lose hundreds and thousands of dollars in a day, and sometimes rebounding and sometimes not right away. But these people are talking shit because Apple's stock slid $4. It's ridiculous. Now, Apple did make mistakes, so I'm going to criticize what criticism is due. I bought the iPhone X. I had to wait excessively long periods of time to be able to get my iPhone X. The iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus were also released, and the problem is the majority of people who are upgrading went ahead and got those on day one that they were available. Now, I'm disappointed with Apple that the iPhone X wasn't available with the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus. That was their biggest mistake. So if their stock slides a little bit because of that, yeah, that's to be expected. I still understand that Apple has an installed user base that's not going anywhere. These shitty ass Galaxy phones can't support a typical Apple user. They just can't. Apple, regardless how you feel about it, Apple has the absolute best apps on a phone. They look better, they work better, they function better in the long term. I have an uncle who was like, "Oh yeah, well Galaxy's got a better camera." To which I replied to him, "Yeah, do me a favor, show me the video editing app on your phone that can record for up to 10 hours without overheating and shutting down." And obviously, he didn't have much to say. And, right away, I'm able to pull out iMovie and I'm able to tell him right away, yeah, your phone can't do 4K 60 frames per second. Sorry. I'm sure Android's going to come out with some new phone that's going to be able to do that this year. But for right now, they ain't got it. The Galaxy 8 is not as good as the iPhone X. Now, the Galaxy 8 Plus has the biggest screen pretty much that you can get. The thing about it is anybody who wanted a big screen, they would have just gotten the 8 Plus. But you're still dealing with two total different users. We don't use styluses. We use our fingers. We don't hold the phone with both hands. We hold it with one. I mean, you're dealing with two totally different users, and that's the reason why Apple stock is always going to be going up, because there's no choice. If you're into Apple products, you're into Apple products. There is no choice. Now, if you're into Samsung's Galaxy phones, there are choices. You can get a HTC instead. You can get a bazillion of these other Android phones that nobody wants, but that's just what it is. So anyway, let's look over here at Bitcoin. So, and by the way, there was I wanted to talk real quick. You remember how I was talking about Venezuela and how Venezuela was basically saying fuck the IMF and fuck the US dollar. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of our shitty ass currency, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our money in cryptocurrency. Well, Bitmari is just one example of what's happening in the third world. Now, notice, I want you to think about something. When you come to my channel, when you come to the Big Truck Series Review channel, you hear stuff about this. Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, I guarantee you haven't heard a single one of them talk about Bitmari, or you haven't heard a single one of them talk about how the third world said fuck the US dollar and fuck the IMF. I know damn well you haven't heard that. When you come to my channel, you're hearing raw shit. I'm giving you the rawest of shit. So anyway, Zimbabwe's money was so inflated until like basically you had to carry barrels of money just to be able to buy like basic stuff. So Zimbabwe say, you know what? This money is destroyed. This money is ruined. This money is never going to be worth anything. So just like Venezuela, here you've got these countries, and mind you, first of all, let me tell you something. Any of you people who bought that fucking bullshit line about socialism destroying these countries, and oh yeah, Venezuela had communism and socialism, and it destroyed Venezuela. First of all, I understand that, some of you are poorly educated. I understand that some of you do not understand economics, but let me explain something to you. Venezuela is oil rich. Venezuela has gold. Venezuela has precious minerals. Anytime Venezuela wants to sell some stuff in order to bring their economy out of the ditch, yeah, they can do it. Venezuela did not have these problems back when Chavez was alive. But when Chavez said, fuck George Bush, all of a sudden Venezuela had problems. Now, you can take that however you want. I really don't care, because I see more than you do. I've been all around the world. I've seen what I need to see to understand what's going on here. So now you got these other countries. You got these African nations. You got these South American nations. You got these other countries out there who are saying, you know what, our money ain't worth shit because of the IMF and because of the US dollar. They're trying to force us to stay in their money in order to take on our share of their debt. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, fuck the IMF, fuck the US dollar, and we're going to break off. We're going to go into cryptocurrency. Right now, one Bitcoin is worth $16,273. Bitmari is just one of the website trading places that allows you to use an app in order to send money back and forth to, say, just in this case, it's Zimbabwe, but there's other countries than just Zimbabwe. Now, Bitmari, it's called Bitmari, Bitmari. This is just one of the number of websites that's going to end up popping up, the number of apps that's going to end up popping up that are going to help decentralize currency in order to make sure that the IMF and the US dollar aren't fucking over the rest of these countries with inflation. Now, you can't even imagine what's going to happen when more of these countries sign on to this. India may be next. North Korea may be next. I'm calling it right now. I tell you what, when you're watching the news and they say something about North Korea decides to start its own cryptocurrency, I want you to remember that you heard it from me first, because I haven't heard anybody else say that shit. See, I'm a speed chess player, so I think in ways that most people don't think. But anyway, North Korea may be next. Iran may be next. All these African countries, all these South American countries whose currencies ain't worth shit, they may be next. And when that happens, I have no idea how the IMF and the US dollar are going to deal with that. All I can say is you can just sit back and watch, because it's going to happen, because these people aren't going to take this bullshit anymore, especially when they have the technology to actually do something about their lives at this point. Now they have the technology, and thanks to China and Russia, they're going to be getting more and more of the technology. So you have to think three-dimensionally. These countries aren't going to tolerate this shit. These countries are going to say, fuck the US dollar and fuck the IMF. We are not going to tolerate this shit anymore. And then they're going to, even the drug lords, the opium dealers out there, they're all going to put their money into fucking cryptocurrency. Why? Because it's anonymous, for one. Second of all, it allows you to send large amounts of money easily without having to worry about the middlemen who have to exchange your money for other money. Like, for instance, I don't know a goddamn thing about the Zimbabwe dollar. All I do know is if I know someone in Zimbabwe, I can send them 1 or 2 Bitcoin and they've got $30,000 in their pocket right away. Now, when they exchange it, it's going to be $30,000. Now, what they have to buy, I don't know. The thing about it is I know I don't have to go through the U.S. banking system to get the money. I know I can do it on my app on a phone. If I'm not in America, I can do it from any other country on an app on my phone. That's the way you have to think about this. This isn't really just a currency. This is a new system of money, basically, you know? So you got to consider that. But Bitcoin, they were talking in the news, oh yeah, Bitcoin, it was so low. It was so low all day. I was looking at MarketWatch, I think it was, Bitcoin on the rebound, Wells Fargo says, after Friday's sell-off. Now, if you were watching my channel, you know I said, you know what's going to probably happen during Christmas? People are going to be selling off because they want that money, you know, for Christmas. The thing about it is there's a lot of people who will be getting financial gifts for Christmas, and some of them will choose to put some of it into cryptocurrency. Now, it might not be Bitcoin. It might be Ripple. It might be IOTA. It might be all those other ones that that I talk about every now and then. But the thing about it is you have to remember that these people, you're dealing with people who are just frustrated that they don't have the money in their pocket to invest into this market. So as soon as they got that money into their hands, that's when they start investing it. So you have to think how other people think. But I was looking at MarketWatch, and these people keep embarrassing themselves. They're up there complaining that it's down to 13,851, it's down to 15,736. If you watch every single dip and rise of Bitcoin, it will drive you crazy. I've been saying that for a while. Don't watch every single dip. What you should do is just set alarms, and this way you can watch for specific highs and specific lows to tell you when you should sell or when you should hold. Me personally, I prefer to hold at this point the new money that I'm reinvesting into crypto after I pulled out money in order to make sure that I stayed ahead. Right now, Bitcoin, right now at 11:44 p.m., 12/26/2017, Bitcoin is now worth $16,407. The mental barrier of Bitcoin was about $10,000. That's when everybody started talking about it. That's when the hype started. That's when everybody started jumping into Coinbase because they were so hyped about it. They wanted to be a part of it. The problem is most of them didn't understand how it works. So realistically, this is 16,407. In a year's time, it could be double. Now, the reason why a lot of analysts think that it can keep going up, not just because, a lot of people, Jamie Dimon and Warren Buffett, all of them are calling it a bubble. A lot of them do not understand what Bitcoin represents. Either that or they do understand it and they're scared of it. The thing that you have to remember is there's a lot of other countries and there's a lot of other people starting up cryptocurrencies. But for the most part, most of those cryptocurrencies, whether it's Ripple, IOTA, whatever, most of them have to either be purchased using Litecoin, Ethereum, or Bitcoin. So it seems to stand to reason that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, because we already know they work and because people trust those names, that those are going to be around for a while. So it's important to consider the fact that Bitcoin is more than likely such a name, a brand name at this point, that people will trust it long enough to let it stay around for a while. Depending upon how these other countries go and what they decide to do with their economies and their currency, Bitcoin could very well double. So, as far as I'm concerned, if Bitcoin doubles, then 16,387, that's just the beginning. I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 30,000 and you have $1,000 in there and it goes to $30,000, well, you've just tripled your investment. Now, there's no way of knowing that that's going to happen, but what I can say is that it obviously has been volatile due to the sell-offs, but this is holiday season. But the thing about it is one thing you can pretty much count on is that these things are going to be around for a while, specifically because of the advantages that they give these other people in other countries. Now, America may not have warmed to these things until it was too late, but a lot of these other countries have. And you have to think about it through their eyes. They can't continue to operate with their own money because they have no money if that's the case. They don't have anything. So they're going to look for a way to maximize their buying power. Eventually, you may even see some country decide to make its national currency a cryptocurrency, a la Venezuela. You may see them start to pay their workers in cryptocurrency. Only time will tell. For right now, we just don't know. But it's not even 2018 yet. You've got this a whole election year coming up. So all you can do is just wait and watch. But me personally, I'm betting on these cryptocurrencies simply because I understand that they are changing the landscape of how we move money around. And being able to move money, being able to launder money, yeah, those are really important factors. And especially when you're dealing with these countries that don't pay taxes like America pays taxes. They love this. See, America is so busy trying to figure out a way to rip you off and a way to make you pay taxes on it and a way to regulate it that they're basically attacking Coinbase looking for records and this, that, and the other. But most of these other countries, all they're doing is they're just using it in order to send money back and forth to family members or to finance their own businesses. So, Bitmari company, you probably never even heard of Bitmari before until you listen to me talk about it. But you got to remember, these third world countries, they're not playing any games anymore. These third world countries understand that they have a lot of buying power and that eventually they can pull themselves out of the ditch that they've been forced into by debt coming from the curvature of those countries by Europe. Countries like Zimbabwe, that's just the beginning. Venezuela, that's just the beginning. Iran, North Korea, you can bet that a lot of these, especially these countries that America has sanctions on, you can bet Cuba. Cuba has a lot of work power. They've got a lot of doctors. They've got a lot of cancer medications. They've got shit that we don't have. So you got to understand the third world's not playing around with these people anymore. The third world is basically like, fuck the IMF. And eventually they are going to make their moves, and it's going to begin with controlling their money. It's going to begin with these cryptocurrencies.